specifically what we learned by movie artists. First, what is empathy and sympathy? Sympathy is a feeling of sorrow, compassion, and empathy for someone, or to understand a certain feeling between two people. It's helpful in some situations, but it can be a bad situation for everyone. And then empathy is working to understand the feelings of another person and share their feelings. It also involves seeing the situation from the viewpoint and validation of emotions. It is generally more open and emotionally intimate.
So, the pros and cons of empathy and sympathy, that's what we're talking about. So, for empathy, use empathy is to better understand people, so you're going to their level of understanding. And people always tend to want to listen to your advice because you're more compassionate when you're using empathy.
So the pros of sympathy is it depends on what situation and what person you're talking to, but personal experiences and advice can be beneficial in those situations.
So cons of empathy and sympathy. For empathy, some cons are that it may be too emotional for some people, so it's not appropriate for learning situations, and context is really important. And when you're trying to use empathy, it can be forced because it doesn't come natural. So, like there's conversations actually default to sympathy, so empathy can take work. So it's more natural for us to use sympathy, so more likely than not, we're not going to use empathy in those situations.
So sympathy is not emotionally intimate, and it can be more comfortable to use because we've been growing up with it. But it can leave the listener feeling unheard and misunderstood at times. As we talked about in class, it's more powerful to say, "I understand what you're feeling." I feel sorrow and compassion for you instead of just, "I understand what you're feeling." It can be more powerful.
I think we were talking about this earlier, but I think there is a right or wrong time to use them, but it's not definite. I think you can interchange between both. So like it says here, the ideal is to take a balanced approach using sympathy and empathy interchangeably, because you can't be just using empathy the whole time, it's going to be kind of awkward. Just look at the situation and use your judgment.
Alright, so as RAs, we've have had a couple of new experiences, and so this is just going to be a little bit about what we wish that we knew about empathy and sympathy. So there's a couple of things that as we went around and we're talking about it, we were talking about how things like saying, "I know exactly how you feel," as Liza was speaking about earlier, is not actually a great response to help the individual. This is because everyone's experiences are unique to them, and every person is very unique themselves. So you can't exactly know what they're going through, just as they won't know exactly what you've been through. Another thing is, whenever you're speaking to the concerned individual, you need to kind of mimic their body language or their physical cues. And this is the reasoning for this is so that we can better understand what's going on inside. So if they were really concerned about something, then they're probably going to be leaning in a little bit more to you. And so you want to kind of do the same, just so that they know that you're interested and you're listening. If you envision yourself in the same situation, so as we kind of put in simpler terms, if you imagine yourself in the same shoes and going through the same things, then you're not gonna be more as likely to judge the person who's going through that, because you'll have a bit more of an understanding. And acknowledging the concerned individual's emotions, such as sadness or anger, really helps that individual feel validated. It feels like, so if in a situation you're like, "Oh, I understand that you're feeling angry because of whatever situation occurred." So these are kind of just some things that really helped us.
As Hinckley Hall RAs, we were talking about how does validation tie into empathy and sympathy. And this is kind of a opinion-based piece, and we have some facts from a study that I looked up. But so to start us off, what is validation? And most dictionary websites or paperbacks define it as recognition or affirmation that a person or their feelings or opinions are valid or worthwhile. So the study that I looked up was talking about how therapists connect to their clients, and basically the study showed that if therapists didn't actively participate in using empathy and validation, they were likely to withdraw due to the intense feelings being shared by the patient. And then this made the patient feel more lonely than they did when they came in, and it had suicide-inviting effects such as abandonment and loneliness. Validation helps us strengthen the alliance between a therapist and a patient because the patient feels their feelings are valid. And then I have no idea how to pronounce his name, but it's like Shyster and Golbot. They said the therapist's genuine effort to understand and accept the patient's subjective experience without, in that moment, trying to change it is key to enabling the patient to bear what has previously felt unbearable. So, when we as RAs are talking to our residents, it is important that we validate them while we're using empathy and sympathy so that they know that it's reasonable for them to feel the way that they feel and that they can.
Alright, empathetic communication. So, how to communicate empathetically? So, firstly, listen. This includes taking note of both verbal and non-verbal communication. So, watching their body language, watching to see how they're doing, if they're making eye contact with you. That's all including listening. Be engaged. So, that's really with listening. Just making sure that we are actually paying attention. Watch your body language. If your body language is like casual, they're not going to feel like they are really special enough. And then express statements that demonstrate love for them and concern for the problems they are facing. Use phrases such as, I can understand why that would make you feel, and then insert that emotion. And then to the best of your ability, be on the same level as that individual. Try to understand where he or she is coming from. And last but not least, ask questions when appropriate. Questions can show that even though you do not understand the situation at the moment, you are doing your best to understand where he or she is coming from. Alright, dialogue models. So if a student comes to you, you're like, I just want my organic chemistry mentor. I've been so much effort into studying for this test, and now it is all wasted. Terrible response. Stop being such a crybaby. I have been in my classes right now, so you have no right to complain. Yeah, don't do that. That definitely does not validate them at all. Sympathetic response. I'm sorry, that's rough. But that can be proper in some situations. That might be what they need at that moment. And then empathetic response. That must be frustrating since you're also part of that class. And then just kind of my response, Mrs. response. Welcome to the club. So, our next dialogue model is a resident comes to you and they say, I don't know what to do. My mom just called and told me that my little brother is in the hospital. Terrible response. Did you do something stupid? Yeah, not the moment to say that, or way to say that either. Sympathetic response. I'm so sorry. I can't even imagine what that feels like. As you can see there, it's not understanding the emotions, but it's still showing concern and love for that person. Empathetic response. This must be a stressful situation for you and your family. You sound worried. I know that I can't do anything to change the situation, but how can I help you feel rid of this? So these are our beautiful sources. And that is empathy and sympathy. That's who we are.